Yes. Yes. Party people. Welcome. This is Last Call Reacts, where we basically concentrate more or less on one subject, for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. If you are returning to the channel, one of the subscribers, supporters, welcome back. If you're new to the game, welcome. Hope you stay for a while. Maybe check out some of the catalog that I am slowly growing and developing over here. And we're still sort of sketching it out, man. We've done a few things. I try to hit different topics. I've hit some serious ones. I've hit some comedic ones and some leisurely ones that we've had, and definitely had fun. Please do me a favor while you're here and you like what I'm doing. Help me spread the word, get it out and around, help me grow my little channel here as I try to give you some information, some entertainment, some grown folk stuff, some talk, some conversation, wisdom even, if not perspective. Do me a favor and drop that like, share, and subscribe for me. And let's get into this. I really don't have much for you this week, but I want to tell you a couple things that I was doing. It being, I went through education. I got a few degrees and stuff here, and used it in a couple professions. And yeah, I'm going to be a little bit vague because I don't give my whole personal life thing away, just a personal choice of mine. But one of the things here, getting older and trying to grow, I guess, your own perspective and your body of knowledge, you try to grow your context, and doing that requires, more reading, more information, more of the humbling yourself. And it's something that I try to do here is I enjoy having conversations with other people and sharing ideas with people as well. And I don't want to get too deep on anything, but this video is basically just me highlighting Huey P. Newton. I'm not doing a whole biography on him. I'm not going to even try to educate you too much on him, because if you know, you know. But if you clicked on this video and you're still here, you have somewhat of an interest still. And the reason why I'm putting this on, it is February, it's Black History Month. No matter what the theme is, if it's Memorial Day weekend, if it's Christmas time even, I have my favorite things, and especially, Halloween, right? I have my so-called favorite things, or certain things I like to accomplish over the span of that time, just to lack of better words, kind of force myself, but try to enlighten myself of what's going on here. So, being on YouTube and not really doing TV as much and TV shows as much, I stick to a lot of the documentaries and little videos and stuff that people put out. Now, I am a history dude, read some books, did some stuff in college with it as well. On top of that, out of just personal interests, and being able to discuss things and on a further level. And when you start doing that, you even get to the point where you want to tour the country of historic locations where some of these things have happened as well. I don't really want to get too long-winded with you guys. I don't want to bore you guys, but what I was saying before is I really want to bring this person, and if not this interview, it's not even a documentary. I know earlier this month I said I wanted to, discuss maybe 5 movies, 5 documentaries, maybe 5 books. I'll try to get some out as I go live on Friday. I'm just going to minimize this for a little bit, tell you who I'm using. So I'm using a website called Afro-Marxists. I could say fair use, this, that, the other, but just a little bit of a shout out while this plays in the background. Now, sometimes I get stopped because I'm playing too much of the video and stuff like that, but I'm really just playing it for background. And what this is a Huey Newton interview from 1989. Again, I don't want to educate you on who this is. If you know, you know, but he is the co-founder of the Black Panther Party in 1966. I'm not going to fill in all the blanks for you because it does a good job in this 1 hour. And I'll put the information somewhere in the comments or whatever, so you could get it, of course, and look at this whole thing. But there's a couple things that I want to point out with this. This is literally weeks before he was shot dead in his home, from his home in Oakland in 1989. Think about, for some of you that are old enough, what you were doing in 1989. Rap was starting to boom. Movies, making comedies and hood classics, I guess, that um, you would feel a connection to at your younger age. Like, it wasn't black exploitation, it wasn't older and corny. A couple years after that, Boys in the Hood would come out, other movies would come out, Kid and Play movie would come out, so that you start having this culture and its own thing. And at the time, while this thing is taking off, people like Huey P. Newton is being shot dead. Now, for me to give you, everything is context, right? For me to really tell you who this man was and why he was so important and why this interview here is so important, you really have to know what birthed the Black Panther Party, as he will articulate in this interview. His death is tragic on a few levels, and there are also larger social implications on people like him, where they end up, how they end up there. It was said that it was a drug deal gone bad. The drug dealer didn't want to sell him the drugs, or it was an initiation that he ended up dying for, like a common dope fiend. Like a lot of our leaders died at the hands of our own for foolish reasons, jealousy, under orders from the great, or I don't even mean to say great, but Elijah Muhammad to Malcolm X, one of the leaders that could have changed the globe, to street beef killing Tupac. It makes that tragic. It also makes it tragic that it's 1989. And 20 years ago, think about 20 years. Some of us that are listening to this could think about 20 years ago, and it doesn't seem that long. But here he is sitting in 1989, 20 years prior to that. He was deep in the midst of the Black Panther Party. It tells you, this interview, he's able to explain to you, after the smoke settles, the dust clears. I assume he's thinking very clearly here. He's always been a very articulate individual. As he went to school, he got a doctorate, and he started out as an illiterate at that. And it goes to show you, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, because beyond these guys in the streets, people who feel like they just can't connect to the education system, they haven't had a teacher to connect with. Maybe they're getting some bullshit material of just one-sided history that doesn't relate to them, so they don't feel involved in the curriculum. So they've never had that connection. They've never had that light be ignited inside of them as well. So they don't get to tap into any of the potential that they could do. It's not fostered. This is a combination of fostering some ability, but also having the motivation, the wherewithal, the attention the attentiveness to be in tune with the community, and also leadership skills. Not everybody has this stuff, but some of us do. But before we get to bloom and really lay out the foundation and see where this thing goes, we cut a lot of our guys down in their prime, and it's ridiculous. And this is a prime example of that, and it's such a shame. What if we had an older Tupac 20 years from 1996 talking about all the nonsense before he got simply smoked? What if Malcolm X made it out of that assassination from the Autobahn ballroom and had 20, 40 more years of life? You know, a lot of people paint the Black Panthers and people like Huey P. Newton and Malcolm X as radicals. But what's so radical about trying to obtain your human rights and not being treated as a second-class citizen? There's nothing radical about that. That's natural. It's natural to want to live your life without oppression or suppression. And out of everything that I've been watching this month, this is one that I just think is it's worth it. You know, you're not bored. It also seems like a very informal interview that he's having, because you don't see the interviewer. It's almost just kind of it's almost like he's asking questions across the room. Huey P. Newton, it seems like he's always in the moment. If you've ever seen him in other interviews and stuff, very conscientious, very thoughtful as he gives his answers, very well explained. And a lot of people say this, but I actually hate when people say this. You know, there's two sides of every story. I don't believe that bullshit. There's one side. It's the truth. It's that simple. It's not you have a side, I have a side, somewhere in the middle. It's the truth. You're either speaking the truth or you're not speaking the truth. And I really try to live my life not being subjective to information or emotion on anything, even being an underdog, maybe not having things. I still try not to let that cloud my judgment and my perspectives on things. That's why I like to gather a lot of information so I can make those decisions and I can have those good judgments. But when somebody's sitting down there, I'm not swayed by a suit and tie or somebody who's cleaned up, looks the part, very articulate and stuff. I'm very in tune to the message and why did you do this? How you're able to articulate why you had actions or feelings towards something else. And if you sit back and you listen beyond all the hate, the sides, or if you grew up a Confederate, if you're MAGA, whatever belief that you have, and find these common grounds, it doesn't sound so crazy that your neighborhood is under attack, that you want to police your neighborhood. It's not so crazy that you install a lunch program for kids. It's not so crazy that if there's police brutality, if there's lack of opportunity, that you try to funnel ways that you're taking care of a citizen like other citizens that pay taxes too. And to turn around and call these people radicals when really they're just asserting their value in life is really what it's all about. And that's what we need to take away, if anything, from this month. It's not about it's not about a Black History dinner. It's not about a celebration at school or work, having a lunch, wearing this t-shirt, this, that, the other. It's we take away what struggle meant to this point. And the struggle is not being classified and not being treated as property and not being a second-class citizen, asserting those values, those rights, and what we've learned and assimilate that into everyday life and culture rather just the celebration. We got to do the work. I was listening to another radio show, and it was something silly, but it made the point, right? You know, you've heard your parents growing up while you were growing up, you know, uh, they might mention before you really knew who Marvin Gaye was or Flip Wilson or James Brown. You hear old folks talk about it and you kind of laugh, like, oh, you're talking about some old stuff and everything. But history isn't but a couple generations away. I find it especially interesting that in some cultures, the traumatization, the suppression, the systematic oppression, the violence, the brutality, they'll tell you, just forget about it. Just continue life. It's not happening now. They only do that with one culture, with one background. With other backgrounds, they tell you to never forget. We must never forget, even tragedies that happen. We should never forget. If we're to carry on these messages with everything that we decide that is near and dear to our hearts, even as a patriot, and even if you are a staunch racist bigot full of hatred, fine. Maybe you don't care about the people, but find out where your money is going to suppress people, to have an unequal education, to have redlining, to keep people in jail, to initiate programs that target people, what that takes out of your paycheck. If you're looking at the bottom line, you might care then. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off track. I just want to make my case for why you should, in the right mind and under the right history and right knowledge base and right context, that you might want to hear a man who's weeks away from his death, not really knowing it, but probably has already accepted it on a few occasions. Maybe start with a biography. Maybe read a couple books or videos about the time and what was happening in America in the 60s. I mean, what was really happening. Not a Disney movie, the real grit, the real dirt of legally allowing this country to deny rights and citizenships to people that coexisted with you, and what that might do to somebody living in a fishbowl that sees all this greatness outside, but can't get outside to witness it, can't get outside to be a part of it, goes to war, comes back, still treated like you went to defend the country. You went to liberate other countries, other people, gave your life for that. You trained for that. Then you come back home and you're a second-class citizen. The Emancipation Proclamation, 1963, the end of, or 1863, end of slavery, end of the Civil War, 1865, end of segregation, 100 years later. So there's no slavery, but they're lynching you, setting your house on fire, bombing churches, denying you opportunities, jobs, when you do prove what you could do without the help of the masses, without the help of the government, and build your own town like Tulsa, Ocoee, Rosewood, Seneca, as in Central Park, all these other places across America, then they burn it down. And then a couple generations, when people forget or it's not in the history books, say, why didn't you Why don't you guys have anything? I mean, why do you live in the ghettos? What? It's another thing we got to stop doing. Claiming the ghetto. The ghetto is not ours. Your best leaders told you that. People that claim neighborhoods and projects and this and stuff that they don't even own, that they're giving their money back to the government. This neighborhood is not a white neighborhood. That neighborhood is not a black neighborhood. The ghetto is not a black neighborhood. That's where you ended up strategically. Stop repping that bullshit. All right, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get off my soapbox. But what I really wanted to do is just suggest again. Let me say the name, and I better remember to put it in the comments or somewhere else. Big shout out to Afro Marxists using your stuff, and there's so much material that we could go through. So give them a shout and give them the views, because it takes a lot to get stuff like this and go through the channels and put it up right, all that sort of stuff too. And give them a like, man. Give them a view. Give me a like, man. Give me a view. If you like the material, you like the way we're going, don't worry. I'm going to do a live on Friday. we're going to have some fun. We're going to dissect some songs. I'm going to have a couple suggestions for you for documentaries and stuff like that too. I'm going to smush it all in, but we'll end the weekend out right. So go check out what we do. And again, I'll say what we do. Once a week, we throw down a video on one subject, kind of like what we did today. So look out for those once a week. Also, once a week, we do a live. I do a live, talk about some stuff, sometimes serious, sometimes not so serious. So this Friday might not be that serious. So you could drop in, have a little fun while you're doing stuff. All right. I think after this, I got to go dig in the crates and give you guys some music to listen to for the weekend, right? And if you like that and you're joining me, and man, just help me out. I'm sure you subscribe to so many other things, man. So why not this guy? Why not this guy? I'm doing it. All right, man. I got to let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me. Do me a favor. If you do watch this means we could have a discussion about it, right? We could talk about it a little bit, and you could suggest it to friends and family also. So cool. Do that. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the week. See you when I see you. Tap into my live. All right, party people.